Hey, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another episode of Taz Teaches Java. And I've said in my previous episodes, I think we've pretty much got a good foundation of the basics of Java and the key things that I wanted to get. So in this episode, time to have some fun. What we're going to do is we're going to make a number guessing game. So I've already created the package number guess, and we're going to go ahead and create a class. And what we're going to do is probably over the next couple episodes, we're going to start pretty basic with this, and then we're going to kind of add features and make it a little better and a little better as we go. So let's see, we're just going to call it number guess and say finish. Oh, whoops, this is uppercase. Forgot this is a class, so we definitely want that to be a uppercase N. Perfect. Okay, so here we have it, our class, and let's see, we need our main. Now, we're not going to be having multiple classes for this. Right now, we're just using a single class. So we're not going to be instantiating any objects or anything like that as of yet. We might later on, we'll find out. So for a very, very basic number guess game, the things we're probably going to need is, obviously we're going to need a scanner because we want to get the input from the user. So this is going to automatically add our import because it did control enter after typing scan. And as usual, I usually just call it scan or SC for scanner. You could type input, you can call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. And we're going to do new and a SCAN control and space, that gives us this, and then we want to do SYSTEM dot in. So it's going to get input from the keyboard. Next thing obviously we're going to need is we are going to need probably a random number generator. So let's say RAND random. We want the random. As you can see, it automatically imported for us java.util.random, which is the random class built in Java. And we'll just call this RAND. And we'll say equals new and RANDOM. So okay, I kind of lied. We are instantiating two objects, scanner and random. So there we go, and semicolon. Next thing we're going to need, so if we're thinking about a random, or not a random number, but we're thinking of a game that is guess my number. If I said I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10, and then you give me your guesses, there's two variables we should be thinking instantly that we're going to need. One to hold the secret number, so it's going to be an integer, and we'll call it secnum. And also we're going to need your guess. That's not sec, is it? Secnum. And we're going to need your GUESS, whatever your guess is. Now, as you remember, we can actually set up multiple variables under the same thing. So this will create an integer called secnum and a integer called guess. Next thing we want to do is we need to get our random number. So we're going to say secnum equals, and then our random number. So let's say we want, let's do between 1 and 100. So what we want to do is say secnum equals, and we're going to say RND because it's our random number we're generating. We want the next int, and we want our max number in here, and plus 1, and there we go. So this will generate a number between 1 and 100, and we'll set that value into secnum. All right, so right now, like I said, this is going to be extremely basic. I mean, basicer, more basicer, basic as basic goes. It'll only play once. Later on, maybe we'll have it loop more and more times where you can choose to continue, and we'll make it so maybe you can set the range that you want to keep track of how many wins and how many losses you have. the maximum number of guesses. You know, we can, the sky's the limit as far as what you can actually do. So now let's go ahead and do an S out, because we want we want to get input from the user. So we need to ask them, right? Maybe just say I am THINK thinking of a number BETWE between 1 and 100. And that will be that line. Then we'll do S out again. Do that. And this time we're going to get rid of the LN part, because we want their input to be at the end of the line of what we're doing. So we're going to say, what is your guess? Okay, and the way this is going to be right up front, like I said, this is going to be extremely basic, because I want to show you how you progress and how you make it better and better each time. So we're going to say enter your guess, and we're going to do a space here. And the reason we do that is because when it outputs, that means they will be inputting at the end of a space instead of right up against that. So we're going to say enter your guess, and we're going to say this will be the guess. GUESS equals and we need it to be what is it? SC dot int next int, like so. Do that, and now we have our guess. So the only thing we have left to do is to check if it's higher, check if it's lower, or check if it's right. Now, because we don't have any kind of loop in this, you would get one guess and game over, you know. Yeah, whether you get it, you either don't get it or you get it. So in that case, if we wanted to say you only get one guess, you know, and that's it, then what we would say is we would say if guess, because we want the value that's in guess, and it's an integer, and we could say equals secnum. Then we output, so we could say S out, you win, right? Oops, win, no. Otherwise, ELSE, oops, need the S out, and do you lose, right? Now, this is a full game right here. It's kind of a boring one because it doesn't let you guess more than once, but it works. If we run this, we'll see we have, what is your guess? Well, let's try 50. I lose. Our odds of winning this are extremely rare. In fact, it's what, 1 in 99? I think, because only one of them is going to, 1 in 100, I guess, would be accurate. So let's make it a little easier. Let's make it a 1 of 2, like flipping a coin. This is kind of a heads or tails game now to see if we can win. So let's say 1 is heads and 2 is 2 is tails. So we run this again. Now it's a flip a coin. We could change this guy up here, but we don't want to right now. So let's try 1. You lose. Let's try again. 1. You win. Yes, we won. So pretty easy game. Didn't take very long at all. However, it doesn't have a lot of replayability, you know. If it were to guess a number, especially between 1 and 100, if I keep losing, I'm going to lose interest. So I might want to make it so that it gives me the option to say higher or lower. Right? So we could change this right here to say if guess is less than secnum, then we could say higher. And then we could just grab this and copy it, Control C. and Control V and change the sign to say if it's greater than secnum, then change this one to, oh whoops, might as well do it all uppercase like I did before, LOWER. And then of course we need a case if you win, because if it's not higher and it's not lower, we don't actually have to say and if it equals secnum, because if it's not higher and it's not lower, or if it's not lower and it's not higher, then it has to be right on the money. So we could say, here we'd want to say S out and you win. Now once again, very boring game because, well, one is, actually let's make it maybe 1 and 3. Whoops. Or maybe 1 and 10. So we could actually see some of these other values possibly. Let's delete that one. So we might actually see higher and lower, but once again, it only runs once. So we could say 5. Oops, not 5 there. I didn't hit run, did I? Save and then run. So here we can say, we'd say 5 and it's higher, but now the game's over. I can't do anything. So obviously we're going to want some kind of loop in here, right? We're going to want a loop that's going to check whether, if our guess, let's see. Yeah, we're going to want something that's going to check whether we won or not. So what we're going to want to say, as long as, so let's go ahead and tab this guy in, and let's say, just trying to think, I probably want my, trying to think where I want, I think I want my, I want to put it up here actually, tab, because we want to ask them what their guess is in the loop. So we're going to say, let's just do a while loop. WHI, while, whoops, while. And this is going to be looping as long as GUESS is not equal, so not equal to secnum, right? And we need our opening, and then way down yonder, we need our close. So now at least this is going to be a little bit better in the sense that it's going to loop. Now one thing you see here is we're doing a guess here, and we're asking it to evaluate guess, but we've never set guess once. So what we need to do is here, give guess a starting value. And let's just set it, for example, -1. Because we're going between 1 and 100, we shouldn't ever have to see -1. Right? Let's go ahead and increase this back to 100, and let's try it now. So now we should actually be able to have a game that is going to let us go until we win. So let's go and run. Let's say 50, right? It says higher. Oh, but we don't want it to say that. Let's stop you real quick. We moved too much of it. Here's the stop right here. We moved too much of this because we don't need this in here. So do X there and put that right there instead. And we don't need it to say I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100 every single time. That could be a little bit annoying. And maybe, in fact, we need space here. And let's also maybe put a new line right here, just so that we get a new space after this guy. All right, so let's go ahead and run it again. So let's try this again. So I'm thinking of a number. Let's try 50. And it says higher. What is your guess? Let's see. So we tried. Oh, whoops. That was the wrong. I wanted that right here. Control X. This isn't going to work now, but because we're in the game. So let's see. So it says higher. So let's try 75. It says lower. So now we know it's between 50 and 75. So about halfway from there, that's 25. So we're looking at about 12 to 13. So we want, let's say 13 up from 50 is 63-ish. Lower. So now we're looking 50, 63 is 13. Half of that is roughly 6. So maybe let's try 50, whoops, 56. Higher. So now let's see. 56, 63. Let's try 59. Higher. So how about 62? Lower. 60. You win. So 60 was the number, but now you can see it actually exited after we said you win. So this is a lot more fun because now we get more chances to actually guess. It's not just a single guess and you win or you lose. However, there are things we might be able to do to make this even better. So let's see what some things we might be able to do. Maybe we should say how many guesses you get, or maybe even to play again. You know, after you win, if we play again, we might want to keep track of how many times we've won, how many times we've lost. So let's just start with maybe let's do the max guesses, or how many guesses you get. So let's create a new variable up here to hold the max guesses. Max guesses. G-U-E-S-S-E-S. And we probably, let's see, how many do we win this in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say maybe 6. So max guesses is 6. And then we're going to want to keep track of how many times they've guessed. So we're probably going to want, oh, whoops, this is supposed to be an int. And we want another int here that holds the guesses. And to start off, we'll set that at 1, I think. Should we set that? No, because we're counting down. So let's actually set guesses to max guesses. And that should do that. So now what this is doing is it's creating the max guesses, setting that value to 6, and then it's creating a guesses and setting its value to whatever is held in max guesses, which is 6. And the reason we're doing that is if we want to reset it later on, we don't want to lose what max guesses was, and we don't want to have to use a what they call magic number, or a actual number in our code that if we decided to change the max guesses, we'd have to go change it in multiple places. So here we only have to change it once. We could change it to 10, and throughout our code it would automatically populate that. So now that we've done that, we want our while to be modified to check if we've got the answer, then it exits, but we also want it to exit if G-U-E-S-S-E guesses is equal, or wait, this is to loop. So we want it to continue looping as long as guesses is greater than 0. So as soon as guesses hit 0, then this will trigger and it'll exit. So if you don't have the answer and guesses is greater than 0, it'll loop. If you have the answer, then this one is true. Is that how I want that? Or we might want an or there. I'll think about it. So the next thing we have to do is, because we have guesses here and it's set to 6, this will always be 6. So what we need to do at the end here is say G-U-E-S-S-E-S and minus minus. So this will subtract 1 from guesses, and we will be able to keep track of that. All right, so let's see. How about one other thing we might want to display is our current state of guesses, how many guesses we have available. So we could do S out up here. Oops. I hit enter instead of control space, and go ahead and do that. I'm going to move our new line up into this one like so, and then we're going to say you have, and let's say guesses, G-U-E-S-S-E-S. Actually, you have, yeah, guesses, G-U-S-S-E-S. So you have guesses, and then do a plus. I need to do a plus on this side. And then stick of, and a plus here, and say max guesses plus G-U-E-S-S-E-S. Whew, that's a lot of guesses. You have however many guesses, so when it starts it'll say 6 of 6 guesses. And then that should decrement each time. The next time it'll say you have 5 of 6 guesses remaining. Maybe we'll stick remaining. And then in theory, if we don't get it after 6 guesses, it will exit and say you lose or you ran out of guesses. So in this case, we need something to tell us that we ran out of guesses. And we don't want it to fire off every time, because then it would say you win, you ran out of guesses, or lower, or well, if we ran out of guesses, lower and higher is not going to change it, but you win is the other condition, and it will say you win, you ran out of guesses. We don't want that, so we're going to say if, we're basically going to say this exact same thing here, or actually if guesses is less than 1, I think. If G-U-E-S-S-E guesses is less than 1, then we want to say S out, you ran out of G-U-E-S-S-E-S. Or maybe, how about I win, you ran out of guesses. I win, you ran out of guesses. Sucker. All right, so now let's go ahead and test this and see if it works right. See if I'm thinking correctly. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. We're just going to type in, actually, let's do 5. Did I just type up in here? Yes, I sure did. So let's go ahead down here and say 5. Higher, we're just going to hit 5. Now, as you can see, guesses is decrementing just like we want it to. 3, 2, 1, and this should be our last guess. And there you go. I win, you ran out of guesses. Let's go ahead and stick 2 backslash n's in there. So perfect. Now we have it so that we have a certain amount of guesses to guess it in. So it adds a little bit of challenge to our game. So let's try this for reals and see if we can actually do it. So you have 6 guesses. What's my guess? I'm going to do 50. Of course, I'm going to type it up there. I'm going to do 50. And it says higher. So let's do maybe 75. And it says higher again. So let's do, what's splitting hairs between 75 and 100? Probably about 87-ish. And it says higher still. And we only have 3 guesses left. Let's see. So let's do maybe 93? I don't know. Higher still. How about 97? Lower. So it's between 93 and 97. We have 1 guess left. So it could be 94, 95, and 96. Let's try 95. Lower, and we ran out of guesses. Darn it. Okay, so what's one other thing we could really quick add to this? Maybe we should have, if you ran out of guesses, it should tell us what the number was. So maybe we could say actually, let's do a carriage return here. So do this and say my number was, because we finished here, but I'm curious if it actually, well, it was lower, so it would have been 94. But if we had a little more of a span, you might want to know what it was, right? So my number was, and then do a plus here to concatenate, and we'll do sec num. All right, so let's try it again. And run. And click down here this time, 50. Lower, 25. Lower, so maybe 12. Whoops, 12. Higher, so it's between 12 and 25. So roughly halfway between that is like 6-ish. So 18 maybe? Higher than 18, lower than 25. We have 2 guesses left, so we got to really think about this. Maybe 6 is just too few. So between 18 and 25, that's 7. So if we went 4 up, maybe 18, like 22. Oh, we got it! Nailed it! Woohoo! That was awesome. Okay, let's try once more because we want to try in the condition that we don't get it. So 5, higher, 5, higher, 5, higher, 5, higher. 2 guesses, 1 guess, and there you go. Number was 93. All right, well, so we're at about 26 minutes. So I think in the next episode, maybe we'll add a little more functionality to this. We might maybe make it keep track of, have a play again. So when you win or lose, it'll give you the option, hey, that was fun, do you want to play again? And you'll be able to choose that. So we'll also probably want to keep track of wins and losses. And maybe later, maybe even making it so we could say a range of numbers. You could actually say, what would you want the minimum number to be? What you want the maximum number to be? These are all kinds of things we can add in here. So I think this is pretty good. I think we have a pretty good start for a number guessing game. In the next episode, because this guy's working as is, we'll actually start as number guess 2. And the quick way of doing that, I don't know if I've ever shown you before. Oh, by the way, you can see we have this little yellow guy right here. The reason for that is because SC is never closed. So you can always come down here to the end. If you mouse over this guy right next to here, you can see this is the public static void main. And just before that, we can say sc.close. Calls close, just like that, and that will fix everything. We won't have any errors. But what we're going to do in the next episode, like I said, is we're going to take this guy, we're going to say copy, then we're going to click on the package, and we're going to hit paste, and this will create one called number 2. Now I think mine used to do it right, but here it isn't. You can see it's actually got an error, and it's because it's saying number guess is the public class, and that's that one. So if we just add that number 2 in here, this guy will be very happy with us and we'll be able to continue on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. It helps me tremendously on YouTube. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. I've got a new one that just went on to, or that will probably be on there by the time you see this. It's the game Battletech, and it's on my T4zzTeaches Unplugged. That is an epic game. I love that game, the role-playing game growing up, and now they've actually got a computer game of it. Well, they kind of had one a long time ago, but they've done an excellent job. Looks really fun so far. But that's it. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.